Only 2 days in and we've got an unconventional one out there already. Well, 'tis the season, you know. Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm your friendly neighborhood Endman64, and I would like to wish you all a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, a happy Kwanzaa, a happy Hanukkah, Festivus, whatever you guys want to celebrate, because this is my all-time favorite time of the year. The 2 months of the year, I am not an absolutely miserable human being. Now, as many of you know, I am incapable of doing the 25 games of Christmas that I did last year for you guys this year. All because of my external hard drive deciding it would rather take a dirt nap than take a wonderful stroll of living with me for the next few years, sifting through my material so I could keep things going forever. But in the spirit of the holidays, I decided it'd be better to give you guys something and give you guys rewards and presents for being some of the best gosh darn fans on YouTube. So, I thought of nothing better than to give you guys 25 videos, specifically of anything that you guys would like to see. I figured it was all going to be openings, but then I got a request that I just could not turn down. Apparently, a good friend of mine and one of my closest followers on YouTube and Facebook really enjoyed my commentary video on my top 10 favorite openings. And in order to really seal the deal, she asked if I could do a commentary video for her, just telling her about my life, because apparently she enjoys that. That makes one of us. But today, December 2nd, 2020, I am awarding this winner of the video, and today's winner of the contest that I've been running since mid-October or early October, is Jazz Umbre. In case you don't know, she is a YouTuber that is sort of up and coming. She's got a ton of different projects she's working on. She does a lot of unboxings and taste testing videos and Let's Plays, and I think you guys should check her out once in a while. But she requested a video that, honestly, I was not expecting to get, because I was expecting all of the requests that I would get to be openings, and that's why I set the bar at, let's keep it to openings. I'm not going to do video game gameplay or something like that. But she asked me to do a commentary video, so I figured, why the hell not? And when I asked her which of the Disney sing-alongs she would want to have me commentate to, she asked, very politely might I add, could we do both? So yes, we have a double feature, as you can see by the length of this video. I personally will be commentating and giving some insight to the dark corners of my mind about the holiday seasons to two of Disney's most famous sing-along songs. Only one of which they own most of the songs to. This is Disney's A Very Merry Christmas sing-along and the 12 Days of Christmas sing-alongs that were released in 1988 and 1994, respectively. And most of my commentating is gonna be geared mostly towards, you know, Christmas. Because, well, that's the time of year that I celebrate, and that's the time of year that, well, it is now. So, all things considered, I think we should begin. 4 minutes in, but I don't really care. As many of you know, I have been dealing with the last few years dealing with clinical depression, and basically just trying to keep myself going in times that are just not particularly pleasant for me to go through. And I've noticed something, and a friend of mine pointed it out to me a few years ago, that I'm happier in the months of November and December than I am any other time of the year. I thought of it and I wondered what was the reason why this was the case. And some people said, oh, it's because your birthday's in November. And I'm like, yeah, but if my birthday was in June, I wouldn't care, because I'm not really there for my birthday. I do like to celebrate my birthday every now and then, but for the most part, I've sort of gotten over the craze of it being, oh, my birthday, celebrate, yay. And I realize that it's Christmas. Just the time of Christmas just gives me so much joy and happiness that I just find it really hard to contain, you know? I mean, I've been enamored with the idea of Christmas since I was a very little kid. Back when I was a kid, of course, it was all about getting the presents and seeing Santa at the mall and all the songs and all that. But as I've gotten older, I'm learning to appreciate more and more the ideas, the real meanings behind Christmas. About family, friends, getting together, knowing truly who are the most important people to you in your lives. And to me, Christmas has always been, that one time a year that I know I can really rely on people and gather around people and really just overall just be a bundle of joy. And the other 10 months of the year, I'm this, you know, just sort of living my life every day, wondering how close it'll be for us to get to November and December. But I digress. We're not here to learn about that. We're just here to learn about why Christmas, to me, is the best time of year. And like I said, it's mostly just the sheer joy and kindness that you get from people out of the years. Like, I know some people will pull with the, oh, it's so Christmas is so commercial these days, and I won't lie, there are elements of Christmas that do annoy me. I hate movies that really don't understand what Christmas is all about. I don't like movies that kind of just bore me to tears about Christmas. Because the most important thing about Christmas to me is the spirit of giving, getting together with the people that you love, and just, you know, being there for one another. That's, to me, is what Christmas is all about. Now, there are specials and things like that. Most of the specials and movies and stuff like that, most of them get the meaning of Christmas. It's mostly the commercials and the advertising things like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all those things that kind of ruin Christmas for a lot of people. And to be honest, I can't really blame them. It's kind of a thing that does drain someone's love for Christmas. But for me, I keep the most important memories of Christmas and the meanings of Christmas very close to me, so I don't ever have to worry about feeling down about it, because I'm not going to let someone who doesn't understand what Christmas is really about ruin Christmas for me. That's just me. I know some people are incapable of putting both ideas together, but for me, that's just how I deal with Christmas, because like I said, there are only 2 months of the year where I am a genuinely happy person, and I'm very thankful that they just happen to be November and December. And I will say that Christmas has been very kind to my family. Like, I haven't lost anybody around the holidays. I mean, the closest I lost to was my grandfather a few years ago. Losing him in November, that was the closest we got to losing someone during the holiday season. But I've been very thankful to not have to worry about that. And even when I've had issues and problems with my family and things like that, like we're all human. We all still have arguments and feuds and stuff like that, and but still, I got everything together, and I enjoyed the holiday season regardless of that. And I've been very lucky and fortunate to not have to worry about losing someone around the holidays, because whenever we usually lose, if we end up losing someone in the family, we tend to unite instead of split apart. I mean, I know sometimes we do have splitting apart and problems like that, But for the most part, whenever I have an issue and there's something wrong with someone in the family, we join together, and that really makes things happy. At least, especially for me, it makes me especially happy that I know I can count on my family for things like that, especially in a time of year like this where, for the most part, a lot of people can't really deal with those things, and I find it's a shame, because I think if we all truly held the true meaning of Christmas together, we would combine things and be just better as a people in general. But hey, what you gonna do? That's sort of where we go. Christmas, to me, not only is it the only time of year that I can really get to be relatively happy, but on top of that, there's just so many instances of, you know, Christmas being a special, fun time of year with the snow and the songs, and heck, I even have good fond memories of going with my grandparents to the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock masses on Christmas Eve night, and just being very happy about it, because Christmas was probably the only one constant thing that I had about my life from after my parents separated. And yeah, I can't really say much else about it. Just that is one of the instances of just how fun and enjoyable Christmas has been my entire life. In terms of presents, oh boy, do I have many kinds of stories about Christmas presents. And one in particular, I wanted to upload it because I've been working on a project of digitizing our home movies for a while and converting them to DVDs. And the best way to do that is, of course, as you guys know, through the VHS to DVD conversion software that I have, that I use for my openings videos. And I actually gave them to my stepfather because he was going to be the one who made the CDs for my mom, or DVDs for my mom and my dad and everyone to keep, so they all knew, hey, look, that's us when we were kids and all that jazz. But there is a video of, I think it was my third Christmas when I had just turned 2 years old, and the only present that I opened myself, at least according to my parents, because they both have very distinct memories of that day, was not even an opened gift. It was a giant stuffed animal, basically the size of a toddler, stuffed animal version of Big Bird from Sesame Street, and I hugged that thing and I kept that thing with me for years. I actually held on to it until I was 6 or 7 years old before I ended up giving it away to one of my cousins. But that was like the first real thing that I thought of when it comes to a Christmas gift, because that was the first one I could tell how excited my 2-year-old self was to see that as the first thing I see on Christmas Day. I know a lot of people like to see the presents and stuff, but when I was a little kid, if I saw a stuffed animal, I was very happy, and especially if it was Big Bird, because when I was a kid, Big Bird was the best part of Sesame Street. Now it's Cookie Monster for obvious reasons because of how big I am, but still, Cookie Monster is my favorite part of Sesame Street now, but Big Bird was back in the day. And throughout the years, I've gotten a lot of fun and enjoyable gifts that I've gotten a lot of use out of, but there are a few that stick out above the rest. And one of the ones that sticks out above the rest is, believe it or not, I know it sounds kind of cheesy and messed up because of how, like, oh, well, he had fond memories of Mickey's House of Villains as a kid, Does that mean he has fond memories of Mickey's Magical Christmas as a kid? Yes. Yes, I did. Because that was one of the Christmas gifts I got, and I unwrapped on Christmas Eve, the first Christmas Eve after my parents had separated. Now, one of the things they try to tell you when your parents split up, in case you have never had to deal with that, is the fact that, well, it's not that bad because now you get double the presents on Christmas. It's such a materialistic way to look at things, and it kind of annoyed me when people would say, oh, that's a bright spot of your parents not loving each other anymore. I was a kid, I would have gladly sacrificed a few Christmas presents to have my parents get back together when I was a little kid. That's all I really wanted. But obviously that wasn't going to happen. And on Christmas Eve in 2001, my sister and I were brought to my aunt and uncle's, who have been the ones who've hosted Christmas parties every single year since then. And basically we would get gifts from our aunts and uncles and our grandparents that day. But my dad, what he would do is when we would have one of our, either it was a family friend or an uncle, or now it's my cousin's husband's father who does it, they dress up as Santa so we can all take pictures with the kid, with Santa Claus, and get gifts from them. And one of the things my dad would do is he would give us one of our Christmas gifts to open that year, because my aunt and uncle would also invite their side of the family there, and their kids would get more presents than us, and my dad would think, oh, they're gonna feel bad if they don't open as many presents. And I was like I said, I was more along the lines of, is one of those presents gonna be my mom and dad getting back together? I doubt it. But my sister and I each opened up a gift that we got, and my sister got The Sims, I think it was the original Sims for Windows. So she was able to play a computer game at my dad's whenever she would go out. And my gift that I got, believe it or not, I still have with me, even though this is not the tape that we got, because I'm pretty sure that one got sold, was Mickey's Magical Christmas Snowed In at the House of Mouse. Sorry about that. And the story behind it is, well, Mickey and Minnie and the others are hosting a Christmas party at the House of Mouse, and they all get snowed in. For some strange reason, Donald is not happy about Christmas, and most of the special is geared towards trying to cheer Donald Duck up about Christmas and telling him all the fun things that you can do about Christmas, until he ultimately is content to put the star on the tree. And then, of course, we go into a nice rock rendition of O Tannenbaum that I've always loved. And then, on top of that, interspliced in the video are different Mickey Mouse cartoons about Christmas. You have one about a snowman contest. You have Mickey Mouse telling the story of the Nutcracker. And then, of course, the rendition of Mickey's Christmas Carol, which is probably I want to say it's my favorite Christmas special of all time, but I know that's probably not true. I know I'd probably have to give the nod to something like Elf, Polar Express, or A Christmas Story, or heck, even a Charlie Brown Christmas, for that matter. But when I really think of Christmas, it's never Christmas to me unless I watch Mickey's Christmas Carol. And even if it's in the version of Mickey's Magical Christmas where they cut out the intro, I don't really mind that. That's not the end of the world if I miss the intro, because the intro's on YouTube. But it's never really Christmas to me if I don't see Mickey's Christmas Carol in some way, shape, or form. And I watched the living crap out of this video. Well, I didn't watch it the day of, because after we opened up presents and had dessert at my dad's, my mom picked us up, and then we went to church for the I think it was like the 10:30 sermon, and basically we rushed my mom and my grandparents home so we could make sure we were in bed before Santa showed up. And then, of course, we wake up the next morning, go downstairs, and there's a ton of presents for us to open. I don't really remember what the gifts we got from there were, but I will say we did have I did say we had a lot of fond memories, but one of the things I insisted on doing was when we went to my dad's house to open up gifts that morning, I made sure we had this on in the background because I wanted to listen to Mickey's Magical Christmas no matter what happened. That's probably one of the fonder and more personal memories I have with a Christmas gift. And beyond that, I've gotten a lot of fun and useful gifts that I've gotten a lot of use out of. That they have been included but aren't limited to. I've gotten a Nintendo Wii for Christmas. I got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. I've gotten games and toys and some of the funniest shirts I've ever had in my life, and some of the ones that I wear to this day every day. Some of them I wear to this day whenever I go out are some of the shirts that I've gotten for Christmas. But then again, that's what we wear. It's not like my parents ever get me something that I know I would never wear or something I would never do. My parents have always been good when it comes to if I asked for something and I was like genuinely like truly asked for something for Christmas, they would work some way out to get it for me. In fact, another fond Christmas memory I have was it the third Christmas? Yes, it was the third Christmas in a row. But so I'll hold off on that for the moment because I do have something else I'd like to talk about beforehand. And the thing I'd like to talk about beforehand is, for the most part, what I do every Christmas, because ordinarily it changes what I do Christmas time every now and then. But the last couple of years have been fairly consistent. And one of the first things that I did, one of the first things that happens for me around Christmas time is that we have a big family party of my mom's side of the family at my uncle's house. And my uncle's house used to be really far away of a drive from me, but now it's a mile and a half from where I live now, so that's nice. I drive to my uncle's house. Last year, the party happened to be, they ended up having a ton of football games on, so while we'd listen to music and eat hors d'oeuvres and food and all that, we'd also have football games in the background. And believe it or not, this last time we did it was actually the first time I had been in the same vicinity as your boy Mild, Noble Panda, my blood brother, basically, Chris, as I call him, Panda, in years. We had not seen each other since 2015. Now, he had been moving back and forth. He lived on the far part of the island, then he lived closer to the city when he was with his girlfriend, and then now he lives in Colorado. I don't think he's going to be here for Christmas this year, but I know he will be in town for when my sister gets married in a couple of months, which is good, because he is, like I said, he is my brother, and I can't imagine any major family functions without him there. And basically, him and I were inseparable that entire trip. That entire day, we watched the football games, we were talking about stuff, I got to meet his girlfriend. It was a fun time. And then after we have dinner and after we mingle and watch football games, we gather around in the main room, the adults, because the little kids each are given a huge bag of Christmas gifts that they all get. What we do in our family is we each set up a limit of what we can buy. So gift cards, so it's like $25 in lottery tickets, $25 in gift cards, or let's just say it's $25 is the limit. That's what it was last time. Usually it's like 30, but something like, but either way. What we do is we each buy a gift, and we put it in basically what we call a grab bag, and everybody gets a pick of a number, and they can either use their pick to take a gift that hasn't been taken, or get a picture, or take a gift that someone else had got at Unwrapped for themselves. It's Christmas, you know. It's every man for himself, you know. And that's how you get some very genuine and heartfelt, and also some of the strangest gifts you could possibly imagine. I ended up getting a Game of Thrones wine set that had wine glasses and different types of wine and champagne that were all had types of Game of Thrones things attached to them. Like, one of them was like an ale that was like Winter is Coming. One of them was like a thing that had like Cersei's face on it that was like red wine, and this was all after Game of Thrones had ended by tripping over its own feet, but again, that's a topic for another day. And then that's how I ended up getting that, because I'm still a big Game of Thrones fan, so I'm gonna want anything I could do for that. And then I basically re-gifted that to my sister, who's also a big Game of Thrones fan, but she drinks more than I do. Not to say she's an alcoholic, but she does drink more casually than I do. I'll have a beer every now and then, or a margarita every now and then, but that's just me. And one of the things that's one of the best gifts she said she's ever gotten. And I was very thankful. I didn't even have to pay for it. So I thank my Uncle Brian for doing that. And then after that, we used to have, I say big key words, used to, with quotation, have that family function that I had spoken of earlier about my aunt and uncle's house. But we sort of drifted apart, and we haven't really done that in a while. And we really don't have much of an interest in doing that again, because the last couple of Christmas Eves, my sister and I have come to our house, or my sister has come to our house, and we've done a nice big fancy dinner for everybody. And like a big fancy dinner for just the three of us. Like, my dad'll bake a turkey, or make a ham. I think he did a ham last year. He baked a ham, and then we come over, we watch a bunch of Christmas stuff. If my sister's really impatient to get a gift, my dad will be like, okay, you each get one gift, and I get to decide which one you get. So I think my sister ended up getting her most recent Louis Vuitton purse. And I got the wallet that I still have to this day. It's a very proud wallet, which I apparently have no idea where it is, but I imagine it's just out of my view on my dresser, and I'm gonna hope it is, or else I am in deep doo-doo, because that has basically everything of my information in it. But I digress. And then what we do is, last year I ended up working the night of Christmas, so what we did was, I worked the night of, I came home, wished my dad a Merry Christmas, went into my bed, slept for a little bit, then came out to when my sister came over, and we all opened up our presents, and then we went to my mom's house, including my dad, because they're on good terms now. Not romantic, but still on good terms now. We go to my mom and my stepfather's house for Christmas dinner, and we exchange gifts and all that jazz we do in between that, you know. And that's pretty much what I do every Christmas. Fortunately, I will not be working an overnight shift this year around Christmas, so I will be able to sleep in and maybe even catch the parade, because I have not gotten the parade in a few years, in the last year. And that's one of the things that's bugged me, because I've enjoyed the Walt Disney World and Disneyland parades that have been on ABC for years now. My dad likes to do the Yule log, where they just play the music over it. I love the parades. My sister wants to watch nothing but the Christmas specials. So we have the compromise of we watch an hour of the parade, we do a Yule log while we're opening presents, and then we watch Christmas specials the rest of the day, basically. And one of the things we make sure we always catch is A Christmas Story, because that movie is a masterpiece in Christmas telling. But either way, I wanna cut to the chase, because there is something else I'd like to talk about, and it's probably going to take us to the end of the video, and if it doesn't, I'll be able to give a special thank you guys for everything. And the thing I want to do is I want to talk about the 3 best Christmases that I had as growing up, and they all happen to be back to back to back from Christmas 2011, Christmas 2012, and Christmas 2013. Those 3 Christmases were essentially the best Christmases I had, and I have ever had. I haven't really had one that's been up to snuff with those 3 in a long time. Nothing against the Christmases I've had since then, it's just that those 3 set the bar so high that I don't think they could ever be topped. And the first one, as you guys know, I said was Christmas 2011. Now, 2011 was a pretty rough year for my family. My dad was out of work for a while, so he wasn't really paying my mom any child support. And my mom was worried about paying for things and funds and all that, and like making sure we could have enough money for rent and all that. I offered to get a part-time job, but she was like, "No, I want you studying. I want you worrying about school." My sister had moved out with her boyfriend at the time, who nobody liked, but she was like, "Oh well, he's good." But again, that doesn't really have to do anything. But we had a pretty bad experience at a family party, and I was driving home because I had my learner's permit at the time. And I was driving home from my uncle's house on the other side of the island, driving all the way back home, and my mom, I don't know if it was because she had any outside influence or anything, but she just turned to me and said, "You want to go away for Christmas this year?" And I'm like, "Go away for Christmas? What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, well, go away for Christmas. Like, forget the whole presents and all that stuff and just go on vacation." And I was like, "Sure, but where would we go? Like, are we gonna go to the Caribbean? Are we gonna go skiing? Are we gonna go?" And she's like, "Michael," and I'm like, "Yeah, Mom." And she's like, "If there was one place in the world you could go to on Christmas, where would it be?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Disney World." And she's like, "Done, we're going to Disney World." And I'm like, but how?" And she's like, "You leave that to me." And somehow, some way, somewhere, in early November, my mom came up to me and said, "I got good news and bad news. Bad news is you're not getting any presents on your birthday from me." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Good news is on Christmas Day, we are flying out of the airport and going to Disney World." And I was over the moon. I hadn't been to Disney in, I think it was 4 years at the time I hadn't been to Disney, and I was like, I want to know how much it's changed. I want to know if I'm going to have as much fun as I did last time. And as time passed on, I was more and more excited, more and more eager for, just to get it over with. I went to the last day of school. In fact, they had a blood drive the last day of school that I ended up skipping the rest of my classes to go to so I could donate blood. Mostly because I wanted to get the day over with and I didn't want to be in trigonometry class all day, but still. I donated my blood. I got my dad and I free Mets tickets, so we were going to go to a Mets game that year. And then around 1 o'clock around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Bell rings, time for us to go home. So, I woozily walked home because we only lived about a mile from the school at that point. Went inside, got changed, and then my mom came home from work. She picked me up. We went to her family function. Then my mom dropped me off at my dad's. So I went to my dad's side of the family for Christmas Eve. Then my mom picked me up. We slept for about 3 hours. Then we drove. Then my current stepfather, drove me and my mom to the airport, and we took the flight from Orlando to Disney World. Now, we didn't stay at one of the Disney licensed resorts, so we ended up having to get a cab to take us from the airport to our hotel. Though we did technically stay on property. We were at the hotel called the Walt Disney World Dolphin because the owner of it is good friends with my dad, and he ended up getting us a big discount on the room that we got, so then my mom could afford for the fact that we stayed 9 days in Disney World. 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd. That entire time, we were in Florida. And we got to Orlando at about, I'd like to say like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, around that time. Because we did, actually no, a bit later than that, like 11, 12 o'clock, because we had to have a layover in Philadelphia. So what we did was we took one of those really weird propeller planes from New York to Philadelphia, and then we stayed at the Philadelphia airport for a little bit, and then we went from Philadelphia to Orlando. And after taking the cab to get to the hotel we were at, we looked and said, well, which of the theme parks are going to be open? And like, being able to host people coming in. None. Every single park in Disney World in 2011's Christmas was jam-packed. So we didn't end up going to the park, and instead we ended up going to the shopping district, which is now Disney Springs. It used to be Downtown Disney, and my mom was like, "Oh, we'll get something to eat. We won't have to get a reservation on Christmas." Yeah, you needed a reservation on Christmas. And so my mom and I know I was young, and it's a bit of a no-no thing to wag my finger at because I was a bad boy. The things we had for dinner that night were popcorn and margaritas. So yeah, that's what we had for dinner Christmas night. But hey, I was in Disney World. I wasn't going to complain. So we had that. We got to go around and shop and buy gifts and all that, and buy souvenirs and toys or whatever we were getting. My mom ended up getting herself this Winnie the Pooh shirt, and I ended up getting myself... What did I get that trip? I got my Grumpy shirt. I forgot about that. I said, I used to say, I'm grumpy because you're dopey. One of the dumbest shirts in the world, but I enjoyed it, so... Either way, after that, it basically proceeded like a normal Disney trip. Next day, we went to Magic Kingdom. All of Disney World was decked out in Christmas stuff, so... To me, that's basically why I'll basically never go to Disney World again unless it's got Christmas stuff out. Because that's basically what it's been. The last 2 trips I've gone to, it's all been decked out with Christmas stuff, and I have been the happiest person in the world. Heck, last year, my grandmother, for my birthday, actually bought me the tickets to go to the exclusive Christmas party that was going to be held there. It was an extra fee added onto our ticket, but... We ended up being in Magic Kingdom during a Christmas celebration from 7 to about 1 in the morning. And it was a lot of fun. There were parades, there was free milk and cookies. Heck, I had milk and cookies on my birthday for dinner. Not gonna complain about that. And of course I got to meet Ariel, so I was very happy. But I digress. That was not part of Christmas. That was a different trip. And we ended up spending Christmas and New Year, my mom and I, in Florida. And we had, like I said, we had a ballin' time. So much so that we on New I even remember New Year. I don't even remember New Year's, to be honest. It was crazy. We were at the Disney MGM Studios, which is now Hollywood Studios, and they had this huge fireworks bonanza there. After we had already seen Fantasmic show, and it was just like, wow, how could you top that? And they did. Disney is very good at that. I will give them that. Of course, we never wanted the trip to end, but it had to end because my mom had to go back to work and I had to go back to school. But I like to call Disney my second home, so I will be back there in a few years. Hopefully when this whole virus thing has died down a bit. And once we're well past the Disney World's 50th anniversary, which is next year, so yeah, we're definitely going to avoid it then. But yes, that was Christmas 2011. Christmas 2012 was a different type of Christmas altogether because the year after that, we were obviously home. We weren't going to Florida. And we basically spent the morning with my dad and then the afternoon with our mom. Usually it was the other way around. But this time around, we're like, you know what? We'll just do what we did. Basically what I did was I slept at my dad's, and then my mom's, and then we went to my mom's in the afternoon on Christmas, and that was all because Panda, Pebbles, and their dad were coming over for Christmas because, hey, in case you didn't know, Pebbles and Panda's dad and mom also got divorced, and he happened to have custody of them on Christmas that year, and was like, well, I can't really bring him. I can't really bring him anywhere because mom and dad went upstate, and he's like, where can I bring him to your house? And we're like, yeah, sure, do that. We should make this a tradition. Of course, it never became a tradition, but I digress. Not here to rub salt in that wound, but that technically is why it made it such a fun Christmas, because we just spent the morning at my dad's, unwrapped all of our presents, brought them home, and then my cousins came over and opened their presents, and basically what we did the rest of the day was my mom and my uncle and my sister were outside listening to music, while me and Pebbles and Panda were inside playing video games. And the reason that makes this so memorable is not only just seeing them on Christmas, but it's also the fact that it was without a doubt second only to the Disney World dinner we had, the strangest dinner, Christmas dinner I've ever had in my life. And it's going to continue in 2013, so, but either way. My uncle said, alright, what do you guys want for Christmas dinner? And we'd had ham the night before, we'd had turkey the night before, and they're like, anything you guys want. You name it, we'll cook it. So, for Christmas dinner in 2012, we had, my mom, my uncle, and my sister had chicken franchise, and me, Pebbles, and Panda had bacon cheeseburgers and french fries. I'm not making this up. That's just the Christmas dinner that we had. And we kept it going as long as we could. But my mom was not feeling well at the time, so she ended up laying down early. My uncle brought the kids home. My sister and I basically played games for a little bit before she ended up leaving with her boyfriend, and then I went up to bed. Turns out I had pneumonia. Turns out both my mom and I did have pneumonia. And a couple of days pass, and I'm talking with Chris on the phone, and he tells me, I'm sick, I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding? I feel great. I feel like $1 million right now. Turns out I wasn't feeling like $1 million. And basically 2 days later, right after, I think it was New Year's Day, and then the next day we were supposed to go back to school, but I was coughing so badly that my mom ended up bringing me to the hospital, and they were like, let me take an x-ray of your lungs, and I'm like, They're like, oh, yes, you have pneumonia. A very bad case of it, too. So, I missed a week of school. So, technically speaking, I was off from school for 3 weeks. 2 weeks off of regular school. And then I missed a week because of my pneumonia. And I could not... But it was not a fun week that I spent away from home. I couldn't breathe. I was on a nebulizer for a while, but my sister did come over and take care of me. And my sister and I basically rebuilt our relationship because it was very strained after she had left with her boyfriend. My sister and I really did not get along for a while, but we rebuilt our relationship through that. She beat the living crap out of me in Mario Party. I will never forgive her for that. But again, like I said, that's after Christmas stuff. But it was something that did happen around Christmas, so I had to add it in there. Now, the third Christmas we had was, again, the strangest Christmas I think we've ever endured as a family. Sort of similar to what we had the year prior, but except for Pebbles and Panda coming over, it was my uncle, his current wife, who was his girlfriend, and her daughter came over for Christmas the next year. But sort of like the same traditions. I went to my aunt and uncle, I went to my dad's side of the family for Christmas Eve, and then woke up at my mom's, opened up presents, went to my dad's, opened up presents, and then went home. But two things happened on that day. As many of you know, back in 2013, I was heavily searching for the Disney Classics tapes. And by the point of Christmas 2013, sorry, I blanked out on the year. By that point of Christmas 2013, I had most of the classics. There were 2 big ones I was missing at the set. Technically 3, but mostly 2 big ones I was missing. At that time, I had Fox and the Hound. I'm going to count backward. I'm going to do it backwards. So I had Fox and the Hound, Aladdin, Pinocchio, Beauty and the Beast, The Rescuers, The Great Mouse Detective, 101 Dalmatians, Fantasia, Robin Hood, The Jungle Book, Peter Pan, The Little Mermaid, Bambi, Cinderella, Lady and the Tramp, The Sword and the Stone, Dumbo, Alice in Wonderland, and yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can tell, there are 2 titles in that line that were missing. One was The Rescuers Down Under, which I was just having bad luck with. I found a tape of it at the thrift store, and it I didn't buy it because it was in such bad shape. It looked like it was gonna fall apart any minute, so I was like, yeah, I can't get that. And then the other tape I was having a really hard time finding was Sleeping Beauty. And Sleeping Beauty of the classics is one of the rarest tapes. Only 1 million of them were ever sold. Now you might be thinking, oh, 1 million, that's not that bad in the United States and Canada, but I'm like, think of it this way. A lot of people threw out their Sleeping Beauty tapes when the new ones came out. A lot of other tapes, since they were old videotapes from the 80s, a lot of them broke. So, for all we know, there are probably about 200, maybe even 100,000 of these tapes left in the world, and maybe even less than that. Who knows? And I had spent weeks and months searching for this tape. And I had just about given up hope, because even as on eBay, they were charging ridiculous prices for that. I was getting charged like, they were going to be like, oh, $75 for this Sleeping Beauty Classics tape. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then, I love the lady to death, but one of my grandmother's friends who had actually taught me in preschool said, "Oh, I have that." And she got it for me, but it ended up being the Masterpiece Edition tape, and it didn't even work. So I was like, oh, well, this stinks. Oh, well. So I go to my dad's house for Christmas, and there's a box there's one last box that I have left to open, and I'm expecting it to be closed because it's a little squishy of a box, and I feel that there's something in there, something hard. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a case for something. I'm like, I could always use something. And in that box was, in fact, the Classics version of Sleeping Beauty, and I wouldn't call it a soft cover, but the black clamshell, the original black clamshell copy of Pinocchio that I have. So I don't know how the heck my dad did it, but he ended up finding those two tapes, and I was a very happy duckling. A supremely happy duckling. And then, of course, just to round out the Christmas things of randomness and confusion, for dinner that year, again, my uncle said you can have whatever we want for Christmas dinner. We had tacos. Homemade tacos. So my mom ended up cooking up, like, I think almost 2 or 3 pounds of beef. Then, of course, we had all the ingredients that we put in. Basically, we had as many tacos as we could fit. We ended up tearing that apart. We had so many tacos. It was like insane. And then we had tacos for Christmas again in 14, again in 15, again in 16. And then, 2017 we also had it. 2018, it's changed on us. Like, we're like, oh, well, Christmas tacos aren't a Christmas thing. My stepfather was like, tacos aren't a Christmas thing, and I'm like, yeah, but it's an us thing. You want to be part of the family, you gotta contribute. And he's like, but we ended up having a nice regular. I think we ended up having pot roast in 2018, and last year we actually had filet mignon, which was definitely good because I'm a big bacon fan, as many of you know. And yeah, it pretty much wraps it up. Those are the 3 most memorable and best Christmases I've ever had. And holy guacamole, we still got a few minutes left. That's good. So, with that said, it's unfortunate that I was unable to get the 25 games of Christmas done this year. But on the plus side, I am happy that I was able to get a lot of requests and things for videos done for you guys instead, because this feels to me more like Christmas than just me playing games that I want to play. I know you guys will be like, oh, but it's Christmas, you should be doing what you want to do. And I'm like, yeah, but what I want to do at this moment is give you guys something. And when Lizzie asked me, when she asked me about Christmas and, you know, like what kind of video I can make for her, she said, can you do a commentary video? And I'm like, of an opening? And she's like, no, just another one like you did for the favorite openings. And I'm like, okay. And she gave me her very thought out reason. She appreciated all the stories that I had to tell, and I hope that I've filled her content meter up, because I've basically gone on for an hour talking about all of the Christmas experiences I've had, as many as I can remember. I will say one thing though, if you guys have the opportunity to go to Disney World or Disneyland, not on Christmas but around the Christmas season, do it. It is beautiful to see how they decorate the parks on Christmas. I know some of you will be like, oh, but I got so many other things I have to worry about for Christmas. So, you know what? That's why I wouldn't be like, you have to go. But if you have the opportunity to go, please go. You will enjoy yourselves. Heck, even go around the time of year that I went last year in November. The parks were very mellow. The longest lines we had to wait on were for the biggest and newest rides that they had, which were Smuggler's Run in MGM, the Pandora ride in Animal Kingdom, and then the Snow White ride in Magic Kingdom. But for the most part, we didn't really wait on that many lines. We took advantage of some of the fast passes, and that's pretty much it. But like I said, if you have the opportunity to go, I highly recommend you go. You guys may say Disney is cheap and cheesy and all that, but when it comes to Christmas, they don't cheap out. They go absolutely bonkers on Christmas, and it is a treat and a joy if you have the opportunity to go. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Christmas this time. But I really hope you guys enjoy the rest of this Christmas season or the holiday season, depending on what you celebrate. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. And I'm your friendly neighborhood N-Man64, and if I don't get to talk to you guys before then, I hope you guys have a magnificent holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, good tidings to everyone you guys know and love, and yeah, I got nothing else I have to say. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you guys in 2021. Until we meet again, my lovelies, sayonara.